Hello, this is Paul, and I'm coming to you for the purpose of relating a dream that I had about 7 years ago. Why take so long to relate this dream? Is because I've been thinking about the dream for a very long time because of the nature and manner that the dream came to me. About 7 years ago, I say about 7 years ago because I wrote down when I had the dream, and I just can't find it in one of my dream journals. I have several of them, and I haven't had the time or I lost them or something, but I do have a recollection that it was before I got into the Bible, deeper into the Bible. I had it before. I would say it was somewhere around anywhere 2016, 2017. I really started have a growing interest in the Bible, but I didn't have a habit of reading it every day. Okay, now before I actually had a general knowledge of the Bible, I I had somewhat some knowledge of it, but it was in Spanish, and it was when I was like 11 to 12 years old in Puerto Rico. Now, the reason I mentioned that is because part of the dream was in Spanish. So, with that, let me go ahead and relate the dream, which, if you can look up here, and I'm opened up to the book of Jeremiah, relates to Jeremiah. So, this is how the dream went. In the morning, right as I was in a state I would describe as half asleep, still, just almost waking up, but still dreaming, I heard the sound in my mind. I heard the sound of what I thought was a text. And you know how you're half asleep and you hear a sound and you just, sometimes it gets incorporated into your dreams. And then as you're trying to wake up, well, in this particular case, it was one of those situations. But I looked at the text, and when I did, the words in the text said respuesta. Respuesta means in Spanish response, or what is your response? So now I saw that, and then I kind of fell back deeper into sleep again. And then I heard the text sound again, and I'm like, man, I'm just like, just must be my wife bugging me about responding to something she texted me. I'm just looking again. As soon as I rose towards the cell phone, the number 5, and then flashed in my mind, and then the number 29. Okay, then that flashed in. Then I kind of just like started going into deeper sleep, and then I heard the text again. But this time, when I saw the text, and at the same time I heard the word Jeremy, or the name Jeremy. So when I woke up, as it had been a time when I just was starting to look into the Bible, I I I said, well, maybe it's related to the Bible. But so I looked at the book of Jeremiah 5:29, and Lord and behold, if you look at 5:29, there's a question there. Shall I not visit for these things? Said the Lord. Shall not my soul be avenged on such a nation as this? So that was it. And basically, all these years I've been thinking about it. I've related the dream to people as one of the reasons that I got deep into the Bible, because of dreams and visions, but never really dug into it deeply. I mean, I read enough of the chapter to establish a context. And to be honest with you, I've been just thinking about it for a long time, as more and more as my biblical knowledge increases. But even to this day, I still have some gray areas that I have to address. So I'll discuss the gray areas in a subsequent video. But for now, I would tell you that I'm going to leave my hypotheses here. Is that, as we embark on this study, and I'm going to try to do little mini videos on this. My hypothesis is, yes, this was a God-driven dream or given dream, okay? And then my other hypothesis is that it has a dual nature in its meaning. What do I mean by dual? Well, we could be spiritual Israel, but our nation can also be a participant of a world power, which I would call spiritual Babylon. Ancient Babylon was a world power. So today, right, we have a spiritual Babylon, which is a world power. We're not today, as of today, we're not no longer the same world power that we used to be. But I would have you believe in my hypotheses as we study that it has a military, the power has a military component, a political, and a religious. We may not meet all of them, okay? But we're also spiritual Israel. So that's my hypothesis, and this chapter applies to us. If you want to read ahead before I do all the videos, which I'm going to examine the entire chapter, you can pretty much kind of get a good gist of who they're referring to and asking this question, this nation such as this, by reading verse 20 all the way to 31. Okay? Having said that, this culminates video 1, and I'm going to go ahead and get started on video 2 after this, but I'm going to do it verse by verse, and then I'm going to connect each verse with a precept. My goal was to have this under 5 minutes. I already went over a minute and 40 seconds. So the next video will relate to Jeremiah chapter 5, verse 1, and then possibly go on to more verses. All right, this is me signing out. Until the next video.